This game has a ton of weapons, and if you're in the casual scene, almost all of them are viable or playable in solo queue. When jumping into the competitive scene, however, that's where things get much more strict. You can't just run whatever you want. You have to play for your team, pick up what's meta, build gear, and strive to improve if you want to climb the ladder of the comp scene. The most common weapons at the top are Machine, Wiper, Stamper, and of course Ballpoint and Splash. There will be a few oddities here and there. Sometimes Inzap is run for Tac, Tetras instead of Wiper, or other good weapons like Tri-Slosher, S-Blast, and Tasabi, but there isn't much wiggle room outside of scrims. Top level is the best of the best, meaning the best weapons will get used. Having just started my comp journey in 2022, I wanted to push Roller, the weapon I've been using for 8 years. However, as I improved at the game, I found myself at a stalemate. In each tournament, scrim, and practice session I'd join, I would never use Roller. I started saving it for having fun with friends or playing solo queue. Every time I tried using it in a more competitive setting, I got poor results I felt like I shouldn't be getting. Not because of my team or lag or any other excuse people think of, but because of what lied in my hands. This thing. Roller is considered a mid-tier weapon by most competitive Splatoon players, including myself, and it's rarely seen anywhere. We have a few notable players like King Jahim from 1-2 Buckle My Shoe, and this Japanese Roller player who I follow who seems to be getting good results in X rank and in the East's comp scene, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's about it. Both players are exceptionally good and push this weapon to its limits. While I wouldn't say I was pushing the weapon as far as they were, I still felt like I was being held back. I've made countless videos going over Roller's drawbacks, but with the state Splatoon 3 is in right now and the Tetra-shaped maps, Roller doesn't exactly have anywhere to go. Even after trying out multiple weapons in tournaments and scrims, nothing else worked for me, and I felt stuck. I wanted to find something similar to Roller, but none of the other options I tested felt right, or I just sucked with what I tried. That is until I was introduced to Gus.
Hey everyone, my name is Gus. I'm a competitive player who primarily uses sloshers. When I first met Zorco a while back, he told me about his struggles with using Roller in the competitive scene. At the time, Double Crab was just really popular, so having a Roller with Big Bubbler wasn't ideal since it could easily shred it. It also struggled against playing against Burst Bomb Chip, and it just made it really hard for Roller to get into fights. Even with the introduction of Crack on Roller, it didn't really change much, and even today, with Inkjet and Cooler seeing a rise, Roller can't seem to keep up. So I recommended he give Tri-Slosher, particularly the Nouveau one, a try. Now if you know me, you know I love this weapon. The reason I recommended Zorco to try this weapon out isn't really because Tri is my favorite weapon, it's more that Tri fulfills a similar playstyle and mindset of the Roller while having a bit more viability in the current meta environment. Vanilla Roller and Tri Nouveau are more alike than you think. Let's look at some traits that they share. When you're close to the enemy, it has a quick time to kill, you tend to shark for opportunities to pick off the opponent, and you can play around blocks and ledges. The big difference is that Tri Nouveau has the tools in its sub and special to make it more viable. Yeah, with Roller, Curling Braum improves your movement, Big Bubbler is a good supportive special to help your team, but with Tri Nouveau, you can get that same value and even more. With Tri, you can use Fizzy Bomb for movement, paint, and poking and potential picks, and with Cooler, it's proven to be a great supportive special that can help you avoid specials aimed at picking you off, like the Inkjet or the Zipcaster. Cooler mobilizes you, while Big Bubbler in some instances traps you. My recommendation to Zorco to pick up Tri isn't because of my bias towards it, it's more that it fits Zorconic's playstyle while giving him a weapon playstyle he might already be used to, so he can perform better in his gameplay. You find weapons that you're compatible with to accomplish your goals, even if it means dropping your main weapon. So if Roller didn't work out, you find other weapons that fill that playstyle that'll give you a better chance to succeed in the competitive scene of Splatoon.
And right you are, Gus, because while I still have tons to learn about the weapon and comp in general, I've been playing infinitely better because of Tri-Slosher. Roller has no paint, terrible mobility, and janky and inconsistent hitboxes. The playstyle it offers, however, is similar to Tri-Slosher, where none of the issues just described are present, except for paint, but even that's not a huge issue because it covers a much wider area faster and better than Roller. Switching weapons has not only helped me become a better player, but has also helped my teammates. I can do a whole lot more while using most of the same mechanics and knowledge I've gained over the years using Roller, only now I'm using a much more consistent and overall better weapon. But this problem isn't exclusive to me, it's actually a topic that's been pretty prevalent since Splatoon 3, seeing as how the meta was triple splash for a bit. These top players had to adapt, and you can assure yourself that most of them didn't all main splash.
There were definitely some top players who changed what they used pretty quickly to something like Splash slasher machine to fit the meta at that time. And now with tactical lore becoming relevant, we're seeing a lot of players changing to things like Zap or Ballpoint. Sup, I'm Chara, and today I'm gonna talk about some weapon flexibility and a bit of my own experience. Outside of just the meta itself, trying to invest into a weapon class specifically is something pretty common for people to do. But once you get to a high enough competitive level at around high level, there are many classes in which sticking with only weapons in that class to try and win tournaments is extremely difficult, if not impossible. The ones that come to mind are stringers, brushes, rollers, umbrellas, blasters, and chargers. All of these weapons have some form of either rigid unflexibility or quite a lot of lower tier weapons that can struggle with being picked. The main factor with many of these, though, is just that they require comps to be built around them, which is something that I don't think enough people consider. Let's take me, for example, with S-Blast 92. I play this weapon and have played Range Blaster before it for almost 7 years now, and even when this weapon was good, it was something you had to be picky with. These weapons, while having notable strengths, also have flaws. It's really important for stuff like blasters to be able to have paint around them, to have things that can poke people, things that can chip damage with it, specials that can enable it to move forward. Even if these weapons can work, some of these classes have some of the more picky weapons where you can't just run them with every comp. You have to find 3 other people who are willing to build comps around you, to play in specific ways, and pick specific weapons that enable you. Which means the people you are playing with are going to have less options in terms of what they want to do, and finding people who are okay with doing that is difficult. There can also be situations for weapons that are on more fringe places where they can fall out of the meta pretty easily. Umbrella was a good example of this at the end of Splatoon 2, being already very inconsistent in terms of how it interacts with the game's netcode. So once it fell into a weaker spot, even if it's somewhere a lot of teams would consider running it, it no longer became worth it and fell off in popularity. There could be many other factors to this, but being in a team environment and trying to play a specific weapon class isn't always the best approach. It depends on what you use, and a lot of times to use these more off-meta weapons, you have to find people who are willing to work around you, who believe in the weapon's ability to work, not just you believing in it yourself. And oftentimes, that can just be real difficult.
Thank you so much to Chara and Gus for coming on and helping me discuss this topic. I really could not have done it without y'all. And a reminder that my giveaway for this $20 eShop card is still going on until August 1st, so make sure to hit that subscribe button for all 3 of us.